I want you to sit down and imagine the perfect manga and anime. Don't worry, I'll give you a few seconds. And no, don't say One Piece. I know the One Piece fans they're gonna be saying that. Let me give you what I think is the perfect anime / manga. I want you to imagine an MC, Goku, Luffy-esque, throw a little bit of Itadori in there for my JJK stands, no Deku. We don't do that here, no Deku. Now I want you to also imagine aura farming. I want you to imagine crazy hype moments, combat in the DBZ nature, but it's so realistic, it feels like you've almost seen this before. You can imagine this actually happening. I also want you to imagine lovable side characters, goated side characters, an antagonist that just will not go away. For whatever reason, this author wants to keep him alive. I hate this guy. We'll get to him later. He's, ugh. Also, there's gonna be moments in this manga where you're gonna be weeping. There's gonna be moments in this manga where you're literally like this, looking at your screen like, oh my God, I cannot wait for him. Is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? There's also gonna be moments in this manga where it challenges your values and your political views. It challenges almost everything as a human being, and it also shows you the horrors of warfare. Now, this manga has broken many records. You may have not heard of it before, but today's the best time to get started because the English release just came out on the 11th. And the series I'm talking about is Kingdom. And if you haven't read Kingdom yet, after this video, you're definitely gonna read it. In a world where series like One Piece, Naruto, Demon Slayer, and other shonen giants that dominated the industry, there's one series that stood tall. There's one series that kept pace with these giants of the industry year after year after year, staying in its top 10 for 10 plus years, despite its disadvantages. Disadvantages, you might ask. Well, I'd say one of the worst adaptations of anime I've ever seen in my life, and that is including Seven Deadly Sins and Toriko. This abomination, if you want to talk about bad CGI, watch season 1 of Kingdom and half of season 2, and you'll throw up immediately. So if you plan on watching it, just skip to season 2, and from season 3 onwards, they've actually done a great job. Everything is fantastic, so you don't have to worry about that. But that's just one of the big disadvantages. There's also another disadvantage, is that it never had an official English release up until November 11th, of course, which is why you now need to pick up the series. But with all those disadvantages, it still stayed in the top 10, sometimes even top 5, with all of these monoliths. Naruto, One Piece, JJK, Bleach, Demon Slayer, all still there. It's probably still there now. And you might ask, what is it about this series Kingdom that stood out? Was the audience in Japan so massive, or was it the fact that it was just one hidden treasure that just needed a good anime, and that also needed now an official English release which has just come out? So I wouldn't be surprised if things really start picking off. So if you really want to join the bandwagon, I'm gonna let y'all join the bandwagon just this once, because you need to get on this series. And you might ask me, Jay, what's the big deal about Kingdom? Why should I read it? Why? Well, one of the reasons you should read Kingdom is the main character. This guy, Shin, he is like Goku and Luffy wrapped into one body, or basically just their love child.
What did he say?
If you love Goku and Luffy, there's no way you're not gonna love Shin. He is just incredible. He's one of the best main characters I've experienced in the media. But you would ask, okay, so what is so great about Shin? Why should I care about him this much? There's no way he liked Luffy. There's no way he liked Goku. Those are my goats. Well, guys, one, you should read it, but let me give you a little bit of Shin so I can convince you. So first and foremost, let's start out with the backstory. Let's build the character here. So we got Shin, who starts from humble beginnings. By humble beginnings, I actually mean a slave. He starts off as a slave boy. We're in the warring states of China, so slavery is very common here. So him and this younger boy named Hyo, they start as slave boys. They're sold into slavery. They're orphans. They don't have any parents. They one day happen across an army going out to war. And in that time, they see a general, and they hear about these 6 great generals of the Qing Empire, right? It's Qin, King, it's Qin. I don't know how I'm gonna say Qin because it is what it is. I'm not Chinese. But they see this magnanimous figure and they're like, wow, I want to be a great general of the heavens, just like those 6 great generals in King. And these 2 boys, they grow up desiring to be that. So you know what they do, as any boy does. That's what we used to do when we were big Dragon Ball Z fans, and we go in the closet and act like we're in the hyperbolic time chamber, and we start boxing each other and throwing hands. Or 2 kids that love wrestling, they just start battling. They take these wooden swords and they fight. And they fight for years on end, and they slowly hone each other's skills in the most beautiful little boy boy way possible. They just grow. You see, as they grow older, these two are evenly matched. They're almost always evenly matched. But something tragic happens to Hyo. Hyo is killed because he's the doppelganger of a future crown prince. So as a result of that, Shin is left with one option now. I need to carry on the will of my best friend. I'm gonna carry on that dream to be the next great general of the heavens for Hyo and also for myself. And if you cannot relate to that, if you've lost anyone before, if you've had a close friend and you both have had joint goals and all of a sudden that friend can't make it anymore, isn't it the most noble thing in the world to decide, well, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take his dream and I'm gonna do something with it. And the fact that, imagine someone who makes that statement with the will, with the borderline stupidity of Luffy and Goku. And imagine Luffy and Goku in that moment saying those things. Well, you dang well gonna believe him. Having a dream like a great general under the heavens is like saying, I wanna be Hokage. I wanna be the Pirate King. It is that grand of a dream because the world that we're in, there's 7 states all warring against each other for supremacy, for territory, for land. But now Shin has this goal. And this goal is supported by the doppelganger of his best friend Hyo, who ends up being the king. And they form a relationship as a result of that. So now Shin joins the army, and now this whole story is about Shin's journey up the ranks in the army as they go from battle to battle against different states, against different generals, against different fighters. And the thing about Shin's journey is everyone that he comes across, he impresses with his sheer will. It's this small, scrawny boy with a sword that's starting to beat well-renowned soldiers. That's all of a sudden you're seeing a time skip to now he's a teenager and he's a little hench and he got the armor now and he's a captain now, and everyone's like, okay, hold on. So now he's got his own little unit, which is called the High Shin unit. And you're like, wait, hold on, okay, my boy Shin out here moving, like he's growing, he's doing it for Hyo. And then after a while he gets even older, and now he's in his 20s, and now he big, now he husky, now he tall, now he got a glaive, now he's cooking generals, and you just like, hold on, why is this my son though? See, what happens as you watch Shin's journey is that you slowly adopt Chinese traditions. You slowly grow your beard longer. You slowly grow a mustache. You slowly start drinking tea like this. You slowly, all of a sudden now, start moving like this and talking about your son as if he's destined for greatness. And now you're talking about honor and all kinds of different weird things, because when you read Kingdom, you just get invested in this young man and his journey. And you're just like, bro, is there anything my son can't do? You start turning into LeVar Ball. You start turning into that basketball dad when the ref calls a foul on your son and you cussing him out for no reason because you just got to see your son win. That's why. So if you love to be invested in main characters like this, if you're a big MC guy when it comes to your shonen reads, when your manga reads, Shin is enough of a reason to pick up this manga. More than enough. The characters in this series are one of the great extenders as you're going through a binge here. Now, I've already talked to you guys about Shin, and obviously he's goated. If you've watched the last portion, you should have already bought the manga. You should already tapped in, right? You should have tapped in. But if you're still not convinced, the character cast is incredible. I want you to imagine how good Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was. The endless cast of characters, the characters that always seemed to deliver. No matter how small a role they played, you loved them. Lieutenant Ross, Lieutenant Armstrong, Major Hughes, my GOAT, all these characters, all these side characters. But in Kingdom, it's the same thing, except you have such a wide variety of characters. You got your nonchalant Sigma aura farmers, you've got your psychotic serial killing maniacs, you've also got your waifus, you've got your jokesters, you've got your alpha male dogs, you've got literally just the might makes right general, you have political savvy and cunning, people with witty one-liners. You kind of have everything in Kingdom. But if you're not convinced by the archetypes that I explained, let me share with you a few characters that you should pay attention to as you're going through this read that I expect you to read. Let me start off with the king. Might be a little bit of a spoiler of the first arc, but at the end of the day, we kind of know how this is gonna go. Ace, this character is fantastic. When you think of a king and you're thinking of a leader that you want to follow, I want you to imagine what a true king would look like. Incredible speeches, charisma, has control over his court. Even at a young age, he seems to command the respect of those around him and presents himself as a fearsome foe. He's cunning. He's able to talk to people twice his age. This guy can inspire nations. This guy has a speech in the story that would make you pick up your glaive as a civilian and kill people. Like literally, he has that type of power. He can inspire you that much, and he has so many moments within the manga where you're just like, okay, I see why you the king, and low key I'd go to war for him too. I ain't gonna lie. Like it just gets like that. And that's just one piece of the pie, because now you have your other two, I wouldn't call them deuterogonists, but I would say they are the rivals of Shin. So you have here Mr. Nonchalant Gimmick Edgelord, Ohon. This guy is basically your Sasuke Megumi type character. He is quiet, edgy, always antagonizing Shin, always staying quiet, nonchalant gimmick, but at the same time, he's clean. He's cold, so you kind of accept it. He's a spear user. Now, in this series, you have all kinds of weaponry. You have swords, you have glaives, spears, bows, all of that stuff, right? This is ancient China we're talking about here. But the way he wields the spear, is unreal. Like literally, this guy, there's a lot of favorites out here, because I'll mention the other one as well, but there's a lot of favorites out here, and a lot of people love Ohon because he also has a nice backstory. He also has a chip in his shoulder, and you're going to understand that as you read, that you can kind of just look at it and be like, you know what, I kind of understand why he is the way he is. And he's a great foil for Shin, because him and Shin have that antagonistic relationship of the rival. But there's another character that kind of balances out the two, and that's our L'Oreal model femboy twink, Moten. Now, Moten is also a favorite of a lot of people, right? He's calm, cool, collected. Ladies, man, all the hoes watching when Moten is out there. And you would think with his kind of frail body, you'd be like, you know what? Like, I could probably take him. Well, you can't, because he's got crazy intelligence, elite sword skills, and he's just a good talker in general. And he balances out Ohon and Shin, and these are the three main candidates that are gunning for the Great General of the Heavens position. And throughout the story, you kind of see as these three individuals are shooting up the ranks with their own unique armies, and they're trying to make a claim in the world as the expansion is moving forward for eventually the end goal. Now, I'm going to mention this end goal here, but I'll save that for the third part, because I want you to understand what the grand plot is. I wanted to talk about Shin first, and I want to talk about these guys. But there's also other characters that you need to pay attention to as well. This guy I hate. I hate him dearly. I hate Riboku. And I don't hate him because he's a bad character. I hate him for the right reasons. Because he's the antagonist. Because he just seems to always get away. He just seems to always find a way. He just always seems to have a Mickey up his corner. Yes, I'm talking about this freak here. Hoken, this guy, you gonna hate him. You are going to hate this guy. This guy's basically Maharaga. That's exactly what he is. For the first portion of this manga, you're gonna experience the Megumi gimmick. That's all you're gonna see, because this freak of nature here is one of the most toxic existence I've ever experienced in manga, and for some reason, he's under the control of this freak Riboku. Now, Riboku is cunning, he is charismatic, he is excellent, and a constant thorn in the side to our main characters and our main cast. And you're gonna hate him, but he's also just really good, man. Like, I hate Riboku, so keep an eye out for him. And then another character, a special mention here, Kanki. Where to begin with this maniac, this psychotic freak of nature, this hateful, bitter man that works for allegedly the good guy. There isn't really any good sides in war, but he works with the main cast, the MCs, and you kind of just gotta experience Kanki, because to explain him is to explain the Joker, but like also kind of sane at the same time. He's kind of just sick, man. He's toxic, but he is so entertaining. And he is so refreshing to read. And later on in the story, when you get his backstory, it is literally the best backstory in the series. Like, he's one of the best characters I've read. In terms of character, this guy's excellent. But he's psychotic. So I just want to warn you ahead of time, because this series can get a little gory. So I just need you to pay attention to him specifically. As you see him, you're gonna love him. There's gonna be girls out there that are psychotic and crazy in the money, be like, oh my god, Kanki, what? It's gonna happen. But he's still clean, and he's one of my goats, so you just gonna have to accept it. And last but not least, everyone needs a goated old man. We've had Netero, we've had Whitebeard, we have had Genryu Sai, we've had Garp, and now we have Aoki. Now, Aoki doesn't have the white beard like all these old goats, but he is an OG. He is one of the OG 6 great generals. He is the great general. And this man, and the experiences that you have with Aoki throughout this story, and his impact on Shin, he's one of the main impacts on Shin. This guy is very much Whitebeard. This guy is very much presence, power, leadership, strength, inner strength, masculine, strong, alpha, anything you can think of, but in a very, how would I describe it? Very Frieza-like, very Dio-like energy, where it's more like, it's like he seems a little fruity, but he's actually just really goated. Like, it's hard to explain, but you can tell by the big lips. You're probably like, what's going on here? What's going on here? Well, I didn't think Chinese people had lips like that, but hey, Aoki the GOAT, so I ain't even gonna ask the questions. But definitely, you want to look out for this guy because he is incredible. Now, this series has so much to offer when it comes to his characters, but there's also elements of the story that I wouldn't say are undersold, but you also need to incorporate that as well as you're reading this manga. Now, I did mention that Kingdom has its Dragon Ball Z elements, and it definitely does. But a lot of the times, this series also has things like the deep character work of a Hunter x Hunter, but then also the sad sob stories of a One Piece. Like, this series has so much range and has so much variety when it comes to reading this. There's gonna be moments where you're looking at the screen and you're just like, oh my god, like, oh, why is this happening? Like, this is actually so messed up. Like, I'm supposed to be rooting for these guys, but this is also like really sick and I'm feeling uncomfortable. But then there's also moments where you're screaming and standing on your feet as Shin takes down an enemy that he's been fighting for a couple of chapters. And I think one of the crazy things that Hara can do in this story is that he can take you on a journey where one moment you're immersed in the war, one moment you're immersed in the action, and next moment you're challenging your inner thoughts, next moment you're crying, next moment you're just like, I don't know how I feel about this. You know, it's so funny, right? I feel like a better comparison for this series is actually Berserk, because there's times where there's brutal gore, limbs, bodies flying anywhere, war crimes, horrific things that happen on screen that you would expect in a war manga, but it's bad, especially Kagi's backstory. That's disgusting. It's bad, really bad. But then you also have political theater, you also have deep character themes, you also have just incredible artwork in general. So I definitely say a more apt comparison is Berserk. And by the way, I made a Berserk video, so if you haven't checked it out, it's literally the best video I've ever made. So just go ahead and click right here and watch it. It's incredible. Anywho, let's get back to Kingdom. Now, the action itself is, I would say, one of the main things to focus on in this series, because if you really just like meathead activity, Kingdom is the perfect manga for you. Giant glaives. I'm talking, you have glaives that are as tall as Shaquille O'Neal. You have Chinese men that look bigger than Shaquille O'Neal, and they're swinging these glaives, and it looks impossible, but the way Hara draws it, he draws it where you're swinging the glaive and it's almost bending at the top as it's about to come down, and it cleaves people in half. People are literally cleaved in half over and over again, especially by the big main characters, the big generals that take the lead and fight the epic clashes. Like, you're seeing impact frames on the manga. You can almost feel the power of someone's swing, where one of the panels that I love the most is there's this character named Rempa, and he swings his glaive down on Shin, and it's almost as if you can feel the weight of a real OG. Like, Rempa, he was in the Aoki class, like, he's an OG. So when he swung that glaive down and Shin tried to block it, you felt like he dropped a planet on it. Like, that's how it felt. So Kingdom has these moments where you're not thinking no more. You're just a hype beast eating popcorn. Very Toriko, very Dragon Ball Z. It is perfect for you if you just want to sit down and enjoy some ore farming and some meathead activity. But that's not all Kingdom has, because the choreography is excellent. The fights are very clear. There's different types of battles. You have spear on spear battle with Earl Shi versus Ohan. You have sword on sword battle with Shin versus Renko. These are great fights, by the way. These fights that I'm mentioning, one of the best fights in the series. Then you have glaive v glaive battles, Aoki versus Hoken. And you're just seeing the different fighting styles. You have archer warfare, you have tactics, you have all kinds of different things within the action that keep you engaged. So every war is kind of unique and different in its own way. So this is one of the things that you can definitely look into. But on top of the action as well, there's also additional things, like political theater. There's an arc in the series with this character named Ryofui. Now this guy, you want to talk about Game of Thrones, House of Cards, Ryofui would fit right in with Game of Thrones when it comes to political mind games, when it comes to controlling economy, when it comes to controlling the court, when it comes to power games and power struggles. This arc between Ryo Fui and Ace the King is one of the best arcs solely for the fact that it's almost like it's a battle with words. It's a battle with actions. It's a battle with politics. And if you pay attention, you're sitting there thinking like, okay, so this Ryo Fui guy is dangerous, like serious danger. This man can speak like Thanos, but then has a presence like Neo. It's actually unreal. So the political theater in this, obviously everything, people are at war here. And one other thing I wanted to mention is what's going on currently in this series as well. The arc that just finished, the Han arc, is one of the most beautiful arcs I've read when it comes to the actual effects of war and the actual effects of conquering kingdoms, when it comes to how you assimilate kingdoms into another kingdom. There's so many different aspects that you never thought about that this manga hits on. And there's a big moment that happens with Shin in the arc that just ended, like literally just ended, and we're on the new arc now, that makes you look at his character and you see the growth from boy to man, but not just physically, not from a will or mental fortitude standpoint, but also intellectually and the way he's thinking. Philosophically, you see him grow. And it's rare that you get that with characters that are more on the Goku and Luffy lens, because their philosophy kind of just pushes through. But seeing Shin grow was incredible for me. So I just wanted to mention that as well. I'm going to take this time to also mention the grand plan of the king. He wants to unite the 7 kingdoms into one empire, which is the King Dynasty. And this is canon. So one of the best things about this in the political theater is the historical context, because this is technically canon. There's a lot of like exaggerated characters and made up characters here, but if you look up the Chinese names of these characters, Yin Zhang is the name of Ace, these are real people. This actually happened. This is the unification of China. So if you actually want to know how this ends, all you gotta do is just look up a history lesson on the King Dynasty. But you get to experience it in anime and manga form, and it's good. Like, why would you not pick up the series? Why would you not experience how history has been dramatized to a way where you can absorb it and learn something on your way as well? It's actually incredible. It's really genuinely good. And even for me, I find myself now looking up some Kin stuff and be like, yo, hold on, spoilers. Like, it's funny because it actually happened. It's already happened, so technically it's not, but for me, it's spoilers. So imagine you're reading a manga with all the ore farming that you've been looking for. Character development, great art design, paneling, combat, political theater, and it's canon? And you're learning something? Some might ask, where's this manga been my whole life? Well, it's here now because the English release is out, and also I'm making this video so you can watch it, so you can tell your friends and share this video with your friends. But overall, if you have not read Kingdom yet, I promise you, you're gonna read it now. I'd like to say I've done a great job of convincing you, but if I haven't convinced you yet, just say you don't like manga. Just say you don't know how to read. Because at this point in time, what we're experiencing with Kingdom is something that we haven't seen before. A series that had a terrible start. A series that had an anime that was an absolute disgrace. A series that didn't even have an official release in the English version until November 11th, 2025. But it's still breaking all the records. And now from season 2 onwards, it's giving you a quality product. We've got the English release. And there's also an arc within this series that's literally top 5 of all time. Coalition. The Coalition War, guys. This is literally Marineford. This is literally Shibuya Incident. This arc is as good as the Dark Tournament, Pain arc, all of your great arcs that you've ever seen in the medium. Coalition is up to par. Chimera Ant, all of it. I promise you, I'm not joking. If you don't believe me, all you gotta do is look at my top 10. Go back, look at my top 10. Look at my top 10 characters. Look at my top 10 arcs. Coalition, Shin. If that's not enough, I don't know what to tell you. And now it's time for us to finally tap in. It's time for us to understand that it's not just One Piece. It's not just Demon Slayer and JJK and Bleach and all kinds of other series, but there's also Kingdom with great MCs, great fights, great art. All of them at a level of the best in the business. So at this point, it's time to grow up. It's time to put on your third eye. It's time to look into the crystal ball. It's time to tap in and read this great manga written by Hara. Read Kingdom, guys. I promise you, you will not regret it.